Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. I am your host, Matt Cooper. With me are my co-hosts, Matt Rupert.
How you doing, my man?
And Matt Jackson.
What's going on, guys?
Happy birthday, Matt Jackson.
Happy birthday to you as well, Cooper.
Yeah,
I feel like Rupert's a little left out here. I'm sorry about that, buddy.
I was just a month late to the birthday party, but happy birthday to you both. I thought about getting you guys a little bit something. So for Matt Jackson, I orchestrated the With a Burden breakout of the last couple weeks. And then, Matt Cooper helped, orchestrate this magical comeback that we had in our championship game last night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
happy
lots
birthday
to talk
you
about before we get into the show, including that championship game, because it was a fun one. But if you're watching on the video, you see me over here looking like Marv from Home Alone. I just tried to rob Kevin McAllister's house. I got a nice happy birthday shiner playing basketball this morning. Got clubbed right in my eye socket, but rocking and rolling, man. So no, it's funny. I remember when we first met, Jackson, it's like, wait, we have the same name, we have the same job, we have the same hobby, and then we found out we had the same birthday. It was like, this is getting weird. So
yeah, you got a little freaky for a second there.
But yeah, happy birthday to us. In addition to my birthday shiner, I also we bought a smoker last week, and I made myself some of the best ribs I've ever had tonight for dinner. So that was pretty delicious.
I'm a little jealous, but for my birthday, we went out. My wife and I went out and did some shopping and whatnot. I got to go to a Guitar Center and play like my dream guitar, which I loved. And then we went and got Korean fried chicken. Have you boys ever had Korean fried chicken? It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really good. All right, so before we get into the episode, we are going to be continuing our Inside the Prospect series. And today we are going to be talking about Washington running back Jonah Coleman. But before we get to Jonah Coleman, this was championship week. We got to do a little recap for the people. I will say I'm in 14 leagues, and I believe I made I made the playoffs in 10 out of 14. I need to double check that. I advanced to the second round in 7. Made the championship game in 5 out of my 14 leagues, and I ended up winning 3 championships, including the one that you just mentioned, Rupert, where going into the final night, I mean, we thought we were totally cooked. It's an IDP league. We had Bijan, they had Puka and an IDP linebacker, and we were down 16 points going into the night. So Puka had to outscore Bijan had to outscore both Puka and the linebacker by 16 for us to win. And sure enough, thank you, Bijan. All hail Bijan. But
our fantasy goat.
That's the same league. Like, I'm really happy for you guys. That's the same league that me and Matt Clayton, another listener or member of our Discord, co-own as well. And
we beat you guys on our path to the championship.
We were in first place for a long time in that league, and then our players started dropping like flies, and we couldn't recover. So that y'all's championship, really happy for you. That league hurt my soul a little bit.
It was a back-to-back championship for us.
Yeah, I think we need to add the context. We have Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, and Brock Bowers that we lost championship week, and we had to scramble. Made some trades for Malik Willis and Jacoby Brissett to start a quarterback for us since we didn't have any starters, and then had to sick Chig. How do you say his last name?
Okonkwo.
Okonkwo. I think. Yeah.
We had to stick him in at tight end, and
he got a long touchdown, came through for us. So yeah, that was one of the more fun fantasy matchups I mean, that's why we play the game, right? Like, it's a lot of crunching numbers and setting lineups and whatever. But when you're sitting there on Monday Night Football sweating out a championship and your guy puts up 50 fantasy points and you're just watching the big run happen and you're like jumping up and down in your living room, I mean, there's nothing better. This is why we play the game. So hope that you guys listening, hope that we helped you guys get some fantasy championships along the way. I was really encouraged by one of the guys in our Discord saying that he was a new dynasty player and that we helped him win 2 championships. So hopefully we've been able to help some of you guys out, and that's why we do it. So let's get into our episode here. Well, before we did, I talked a lot about how many championships did you guys win? Rupert, just give me a number. How many fantasy championships did you take home?
2 championships. Both of them happened to be back-to-backs, which is really cool. Took second place in 2 leagues and third in 2 other leagues.
Jackson?
I took 1 ship home and then a lot of third place finishes. Too many third place finishes for my liking. I did want to say, because you guys will appreciate this. There was 1 league where I got knocked out in the opening round of our fantasy football playoffs. And once again, you guys will love this. Once again, my wife has beat me for a fantasy football championship for the second year in a row. So
let's go.
Great job, Alyssa. Way to go.
Alyssa for the win.
Here's because I need to get this off my chest, guys. I've been thinking.
Which player's name did she like this year?
This year she liked Bijan Robinson. She thought that was a cool name.
That is a cool name, and that one worked out pretty good for her. Yeah.
So I've got to get this off my chest because this is a funky league, right? You guys might not like this, but we play with 2 of our other friends who, the husband's in ministry as well. So it's quite literally a 4-person league. So
What?
every team is just absolutely stacked. Like. Here's my roster, right? Here's the roster that went out in the first round of the fantasy football playoffs. Jackson Dart, Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Warren, Ladd McConkey, Christian McCaffrey, Bucky Irvin, Kyron Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams. And that phenomenal team was a combined 7-8.
4 teams is wild. I've never even heard of that. That's crazy.
Dude, it's a whole thing. Every single year.
Right.
Like it's a whole thing.
So I guess everybody makes the playoffs then.
Everybody does make the playoffs, and some of us lose the first round, and some of us have wives that win the championship 2 years in a row. So.
Okay. Well, if you're new to the show, we don't usually spend this long on the intro, but we did have a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. We are going to be talking about Washington running back Jonah Coleman, like I mentioned, and he was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school. He was the 36th ranked running back in the nation. This guy, I knew who he was. He was kind of on my radar. Really nice, like height weight profile. He's listed at 5'9", 228 pounds. So, that's kind of ideal in a lot of ways. But I was really expecting him to just be like a plotter. And I was cutting the film for the Dynasty Nerds film room, which is one of my other hats I wear in the fantasy football space, earlier this year. And I was like, wow, this guy actually has some juice. So I was pretty excited to get into the tape watch here. He ran 156 times this year for 758 yards and 15 touchdowns. So a lot of touchdowns, not as many yards as you might think. A lot of times we're seeing these NFL prospects. If you're a day 1 or day 2 prospect, you probably put up over 1,000 yards. He didn't. He also caught 31 out of 34 targets for 354 yards and 2 touchdowns. So had some decent passing game involvement. And we'll go through some other more advanced stats as we get in here. But yeah, Jonah Coleman, I believe he's a senior, so he played 4 years in school. Wasn't an early declare. Pretty productive. He had over 1,000 yards his junior season. So this year wasn't even his best year. Not that it was a bad one, but yeah, pretty solid production profile at Washington. And let's get into the tape. As always, we're going to talk. We're going to start with the running back vision and patience. We'll get into talking about elusiveness and tackle breaking. We'll talk about his athleticism, burst, game speed, quickness, power element, contact balance, receiving, all of those things. We go trait by trait. We each watched 3 to 5 games of all 22 film, made our scouting notes, haven't compared notes with each other, and we come on here and kind of react and see if we all saw the same thing. So that's our format. If you're new, that's what we do during these rookie breakdowns. Let's get right into it, starting with vision and patience. I'll throw it to you first, Rupert. What did you see from Jonah Coleman here?
I definitely thought he was solid in this area. I thought he was a little bit better with being patient behind his line than he was with his vision. I thought his second level vision was good once he got past the line of scrimmage. There was just a couple times where, like, granted, full disclosure, I'm not in their running back room, so I don't know the exact blocking pattern, like what exactly he's reading. But there's a couple instances where I would like pause it. I'm like, I think he should have taken like a cutback lane here or seen something on the backside. But with that said, I thought he was totally adequate here. I gave him a 7 on our score, which is above average. And then for patience, I gave him a 7.5.
Yeah, I noticed some of the same things you did, Rupert, except I noticed it more. You said behind the line of scrimmage. I noticed more of the problems personally in the second level. Some of the same things that you mentioned, like I wish he would have cut this way and like right instead of cutting left, or I wish he would have set up this linebacker a little better. I thought he was good behind the line of scrimmage. But when he got to the second level, I didn't feel like he always took the right lane. When it came to that, I did give him a good grade for vision. I gave him a 7.5 for vision, or no, for vision and patience, 7.5. I thought that his patience specifically, the way he kind of hid behind the line of scrimmage, stutter stepped a little bit, and then, man, once he decided to hit a hole, we're going to get to some of his power and just his aggression running that I'm going to call it in this episode. But I thought once he found a hole, he hit it hard. But he was very patient behind the line of scrimmage. But yeah, I think the problems that I noted were more second level problems, not behind the line of scrimmage problems, at least for me.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to what you guys said. Solid, not spectacular. I mean, this is a guy that I didn't see him like doing a bunch of defensive manipulation and like um, making the DBs wrong, kind of shading one way and then bouncing the other and kind of maybe sucking a defender into taking the wrong gap, that type of thing. Like he wasn't playing mind games with people. He was following the block as it was designed, it seemed like. And for the most part, doing a really solid job with that. And but I did really like his patience, similar to what you guys noted. So there were multiple times it was like, all right, he's really taking his time back there, waiting for things to develop, and then going slow to the hole, fast through it is what we like to see out of a running back, and I think he did that well. So I also had a 7.5 in both categories, which again, just I always am conscious if there's new listeners that don't know our grading system, it's a scale of 1 to 10, with a 10 being like Hall of Fame level, 1 being like absolutely sucks. I've never given anybody a 1 in any category. 6 is NFL average. 7 is like good for an NFL player. 8 is great for an NFL player. So if we're saying 7.5, we're saying he's somewhere between like good to great vision, even at the NFL level. I think he's gonna do fine, get the job done, but not like a super creative. Um, this wasn't like his strength, but it wasn't a weakness either. So let's get into something that might be a weakness, which is his elusiveness. And we can throw tackle breaking in there too. I think tackle breaking, even the stat that a lot of times gets used, forced missed tackles, it's like you can force a missed tackle by making a guy miss and being elusive, but you can also force a missed tackle by running somebody over and knocking them on their behind. Jonah Coleman is
He's
a
doing
little
one
bit
of
more of
those
the
things.
latter.
Yeah.
But yeah, elusiveness, tackle breaking. Just to give some statistical context here, he had an 82 elusiveness rating per PFF, which is like solid, not spectacular, just outside the top third of the FBS. But we have a note here that he had a career 127.7 elusiveness rating before this year. So his 82 here is a bit of an outlier. Like, he was much more elusive, and even this forced missed tackles number that I'm about to say, he forced 35 missed tackles in 2025, forced 67 of them in 2024. So that's a big difference. It makes me, I didn't watch any 2024 tape when I was doing this analysis. It kind of makes me want to go back and look at it and like, I don't know what would have changed, but that's a stark difference in numbers. I think it's worth noting here before we get into the discussion.
Yeah, I would recommend it because I had his elusiveness slightly higher before watching 2025, and then it was also kind of fun to see other areas where I thought he progressed that we'll get into later. I ended up scoring him a 5 for elusiveness because I kind of had to lean with what he's done this past year. I just didn't see too much in that area. Like, he has a little bit of a spin move. He has like a double leg kind of junk cut that he can do like in a hole or around a guy, but he's not going to be like one-on-one with the safety. And he's going to, he has a repertoire of moves that he can put on him. Most often than not, he's going to break the tackle by putting his shoulder into him or stiff arming him. I gave him a 7.5 for break tackle because I thought he can convert his speed to power very well. And then on top of the fact that he already just has a lot of power and his stiff arm is quite good.
He especially does that well. We're going to get to this in like the receiving game. I thought once he caught a pass and got up to top speed and like converting that speed to power, like that's how he broke so many tackles. Like he is a powerful runner. I texted Cooper today, like the word that I'm using for Jonah Coleman is like controlled aggression. Right? That's what he has. He is a controlled aggressive runner. He runs hard. He takes the hits to people, but he's not an elusive guy. Like I gave him a 5 for elusive rating. Honestly, even that feels a little high. Like there were several times where he would come one-on-one with a safety, one-on-one with a linebacker, and like he's not trying to dance around them. He's just running through them. He lowers his head, he gets his pads down, and he goes into them. He's not a dance around in the backfield type of guy. That's just not his MO. And I don't think it has to be because he wins in so many other areas, but elusiveness is definitely not one of them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you wonder, like, is it a stylistic thing? Like, where he's not really trying to make guys miss. He's trying to knock them on their butts, right? Like he's one of those dudes. It's like a heat-seeking missile, similar to like a Cam Scattaboo last year. I would say a similar thing about Omari and Hampton last year. I thought Hampton was a little bit more elusive than Coleman is. I had Hampton at a 6.5 for elusiveness last year. I have Coleman at a 4. So I was even a little bit lower than both of you guys. It's just not like he's not even looking to make guys miss. He wants to run through them, not around them. And honestly, like I don't think it's when I get into that debate of like, is it a can't or is it a don't want to? I actually think it's more on the can't side, which is why I graded him at a 4. I saw one play in particular that jumped off the film at me where he gets, I think it was like a screen or a check down pass. And so he's kind of in space and the blocking is set up well. And so he gets to the second level with a head of steam and he's one-on-one with a safety. And he just didn't know what he wanted to do. It was like he kind of tried to go inside and then cut outside, but he really just wasn't decisive. And he just, it was kind of like, he just didn't really do anything and he ended up getting tackled. Like it just looked really clunky. I think I noticed what you said, Rupert, about the double leg cut. I think he can really plant and make powerful cuts. He's got really strong legs. So for a 228 pounder, like, man, that boy can change directions sometimes, but it's one big powerful move. He can't string together multiple quick moves in succession. So I mean, I think elusiveness and quickness kind of go hand in hand. And I've got Coleman at a 6 for quickness, which is NFL average. even that I think is generous, but I'm kind of size adjusting it a little bit. I'm like, he's quick for a 230 pounder. But I don't think he's like really that quick, if that makes sense. And the quickness, even like getting him to a 6 is because of those big, powerful change of direction. But it's one cut. That's all he's got. Like he's got one cut in him. But he's, for the most part, he's a north-south player, and he's a heat-seeking missile, and he's not very elusive. So yeah, that was a weakness for me. And I had him graded with a 4 there. So there's other ways to win, though. Not everybody has to be an elusive scat back. And let's get into some of these other areas. So before we take a break, we'll take a break after we hit this. But let's talk about athleticism, because I think this is so significant. When you're a 230 pounder, if you're not athletic, then you're just a plotter. So is Jonah Coleman athletic? I'll throw it to you first, Jackson.
He was more athletic than I thought he was going to be, honestly, for his size. Like, I came in, you see all the touchdowns in college, right? You see him being used on the goal line. You see the heat-seeking missile part of his game that you were talking about, Cooper, and you're like, well, is this guy just like a short yardage grinder? And like, he's really not that at all. When you look at some of the grades that I gave him, like, he's got decent speed. Like, he's not going to run away from defenders. He's not gonna, take a 90-yard house call, but he's got good enough speed. What I really like, honestly, was his burst. Like, once he hits the hole, like, he hits the hole really hard, and like, he gets up to top speed, and like, he's got really good burst and athleticism for somebody of his size. I gave him a 7 for game speed, 7.5 for burst and acceleration. Um, I mentioned this earlier on when we were talking about his receiving game, and I know we're talking about that later, but all this kind of stuff works together, right? Like, when they're using him in the pass catching game, those 30 something odd passes that he caught, when he gets in open field and was able to get to top speed, like, dude's kind of an athlete. Like, he can run, he can pile through people, he stiff arms people, he gains the extra yardage. Like, he's not just getting a few yards and going down. Like, he's stringing together, extra yards, which is just so cool to see. I was pleasantly surprised in this area. I didn't think he was going to have much athleticism to him, but he had more than I was expecting.
Absolutely agree with that. I actually graded him slightly higher. I gave him a 7.5 for his game speed and 8 for his burst acceleration. This is where like his patience, really shines through, and he has that burst. Like when he sees the hole, he can get through there in an instant. And just knowing that he's 228 pounds makes it even more impressive to me. I gave him a 6.5 for quickness, and that could be because I watched some of his 2024 film, and as we've been talking on the podcast, I wonder if he was a little bit lighter in 2024, and that contributed to him being a little bit more elusive. So I wonder if he's a guy that, could be even more dangerous, like get a little bit of wiggle in his game on top of his power, maybe even help out his long speed as well, losing a little bit of weight. But just like Jackson, I was very pleasantly surprised with his athleticism, especially at that size. Like, that's just, you don't want that freight train running at you if you're a defensive back.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Rupert, because I was almost wondering if he'd put on a few more pounds when he got to the NFL, and really get up into like that 235 range and just be an absolute bowling ball. But he could go either way. He could stand to lose some weight and get down to 220, and he would still be plenty strong. But yeah, I saw the same thing you guys did, so I'm not going to belabor the point here. I had my grades, I think, almost identical to what Jackson said. 7 for game speed, 7.5 for burst. Had him at a 6 for quickness. Not an amazing athlete, but for his size, I was impressed. He was running away from people, particularly his short area burst. Like, long speed was okay, but the short area burst is like, man, that guy, he can make a decision, hit the hole, and defeat angles and leave guys like diving at him, which I was just not expecting to see at all. So you need that at the NFL level. Like, you can't just be heavy. You have to also have some burst, and I think he's got it. So that was exciting to me. 38% of his rushing yards in his collegiate career have been on breakaway plays. So I think that speaks to some of what we're talking about here. He's not just a goal line guy, not just a short yardage grinder. This guy has some breakaway speed and can make big chunk plays. Like, you're not going to see the 93-yard touchdown that we saw from Bijan the other night, but I think you could see some 40, 50-yard runs from him, and we saw that in college.
I just did some research. Back in 2024 for Washington, he was listed on the depth chart at 229. Back in 2023, when he was playing for Arizona, he weighed in at 225.
Okay. So not much change there, but yeah, let's continue on. But before we do, let's take a break. And I want to shout out to the people who are listening. Maybe this is your first time listening. If so, thank you. Welcome. We're glad to have you. Hope you enjoy the show and find this insightful. But you may not know, we have a website, CouchScouts.com. We've got lots of great tools, research, analysis on there. Our bread and butter, our calling card is the rookie guide. The 2026 rookie guide is coming. We did one in 2024 and 2025. They were both hits. I think we got better year to year, and I think we're going to get better this year as we continue to hone our craft. But we take all of these detailed scouting notes that we watch countless hours of film, and we put it into really the ultimate cheat sheet for you. You can pull up a scouting report from us when all is said and done on 60 plus, probably even 70 plus prospects. Basically anybody you would even think about drafting in your fantasy league. We've probably got a detailed scouting report, trait by trait, just like you're hearing here on the podcast, with our film scores, with our rankings, with everything that you need. So definitely, this is the best time of year to get in on the Couch Scouts. Come buy an annual package. You've already got the rookie guide locked in. You can start watching some film in our All 22 film room. You can listen to the bonus show that we put out every week just for our members, where we go into some sleeper prospects that you may not hear us talking about on the main show. A lot of value packed into that thing. So check out CouchScouts.com. And I don't think you'll be disappointed. So with all that being said, let's continue on with the show here. Jonah Coleman. Now we're getting somewhere. We're talking about contact balance, power, and pad level. This is his bread and butter. He's a big boy. He's a bruiser. This was an exciting part of his game. Rupert, what did you see here from Jonah Coleman?
Just an absolute bowling ball. I gave him an 8.5 for physicality and power. What I really liked was his pad level. I gave him an 8.5 there, and I've been debating all day if I should go up to 9. It's early in the process, so I typically try not to, go to the 9, which we would categorize as elite, but he's right there for me. So by the end of the process, I may end up there. I gave him an 8 for contact balance as well. Really good at using his arms, shoving guys down deep into the earth, and keep on running. He was just a really fun player to watch, just punish defensive backs.
Yeah, he made you pay for tackling him, that's for sure. He was delivering the punishment rather than receiving the punishment. And I love that you noted about the pad level, because that was great in my opinion. I had him at a 9. No, excuse me. I had him at an 8.5 for pad level and a 9 for power, with an 8.5 for balance too. I thought he did a really good job kind of keeping his feet as he sorted through traffic and took contact and dragging guys for extra yardage. And I thought he was really good in every area of the power element to his game. Compare that to another guy that we're going to be talking about on the bonus podcast tonight, who is 224 pounds and 6 foot. So they're both big boys. And like, you could see how much difference pad level makes in terms of taking advantage of that. Cause it's one thing to like be a big guy. It's another thing to know how to use that. And when you get low and you get the leverage and you can drive the guy back and knock him on his behind, that's power. If you're big and tall and they can chop your legs and you just go down like a tree, like timber, like you can be big but not powerful. Jonah Coleman is both. And I think that's really a significant thing. And it makes him fun to watch, but it also makes him a really effective runner. So yeah, when he hits somebody and drops those pads, he breaks a lot of tackles. He drives guys backwards. He carries them forward for extra yardage. I mean, this just shows up in the stat sheet in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I'm not going to belittle a point anymore, but I gave him 9 for pad level, 9 for physicality and power. So I want that extra half point. The way that he sinks his center of gravity, gets low and just delivers the boom into opposing tacklers. Like, he's the type of guy that you don't want to meet one-on-one in the hole. Like, that's a bad day for you. And it makes sense because all over his tape, you just see him consistently get the extra yardage, consistently carry 2, 3, 4 guys on his back for extra yards. Like, it's something that's all over his tape, and it's going to be a real skill at the next level.
Okay, I just bumped up his pad level to 9 on the show.
There you go. Sometimes we do it. We talk it out. Yeah. We're like, what was I thinking there? Like, I
was debating it all day. I was like, should I go 9? No, that's too early. Yeah. He was right.
And sometimes it goes the other way too. It's like we get on the show and we're all like, yeah, he wasn't really that quick. And I'm going like, why did I have him at a 6 then? Because I agree with these guys. They're saying he's not quick and I'm saying he's not quick, but yet I have him as NFL average for quickness. Like, why did I do? So yeah, sometimes talking it out is a helpful part of the process. But let's talk.
And tune into the bonus pod, because that's gonna happen on the bonus pod too.
It probably will. Last thing we want to talk about here, and this is so important in today's day and age for an NFL, for a fantasy. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a fantasy football focused podcast. I mean, people can listen to it if they're just draft nicks and they want to hear us talk football. But, we're looking at it from a fantasy lens. We want to draft guys. And almost every league now is PPR. So a running back that can catch passes and stay on the field in third down, it's huge. You can't overstate it. And I don't know about you guys, I came away very pleasantly surprised by this area of his game. For me, I ended up giving him an 8 for receiving and a 7 for pass protection. So this is a guy that's not going to have to come off the field. There were a few times that maybe like he got a little bit confused in pass protection, wasn't sure where he should go or who he should be blocking. But when he made contact, like all of that strength that we see show up as a runner also shows up as a pass protector, which is not always the case. I mean, there was a play, I literally saw him like pick a guy up and throw him backwards like a rag doll. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. He lifted the dude off of his feet. So yeah, Jonah Coleman, he's a reliable pass protector. He really like sets a strong base, has good footwork, meets the guy with his hands, and really can buy his quarterback a good amount of time. But he's also like, he's not out there running routes. He's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not going to go in the slot and, route somebody up. But he's got such reliable hands. I mean, they threw it to him a lot. And I even saw him adjust to like, there was one play in particular where he went out for a check down. He was wide open immediately, but the quarterback, for whatever reason, scrambled the other direction and ran around in circles for a few seconds because that's what that quarterback does. And then realized, oh, look, Jonah Coleman's wide open on the other side of the field. And by that point, Coleman had kind of worked his way 10, 15 yards downfield. Like, he had good spatial awareness, like move to the open part of the field. And the quarterback throws it to him. It's off target. He's got to adjust back shoulder. Makes a pretty tough catch for a running back. And then I also just loved, it was so seamless transitioning from the catch to the run after the catch. A lot of bigger running backs don't have those instincts. They like catch it, turn around, look around, shuffle their feet a little bit. And then they're like, you could see the wheels turning on, like deciding like where they should go. Coleman is just instinctive. Like he turns around and he's making guys miss almost before he's even facing them. So yeah, Jonah Coleman, I was really pleasantly surprised. I think he's going to be it reminded me a lot of Omarion Hampton in this area of his game, because Hampton was not a guy that was out there running routes either, but he caught a lot of passes in college and is not going to have to come off the field. So this to me is very exciting when you get a guy who is prototypical size, also has real legit NFL athleticism, and he can catch passes and not come off the field in third down. Like there's a lot of upside in that. So I was very happy coming away watching this part of his game. Did you guys see it the same way?
I did, and this is where I really loved going back to this 2024 film, and I started there and then went to this 2025 because this is the area where he drastically improved, in my opinion. Just to cite like one example, like his game against Michigan in 2024, kind of rough in pass pro. His game against Michigan in 2025, he was throwing dudes into the dirt and picking them up. He just really progressed, and it was never like a lack of like wanting to. Like there's some running backs where there's like, I don't feel like sticking my nose in here. He never had that. It was just, to me, it was a little bit more technique, and he really worked on that. It seemed like in the offseason in 2025, I thought he was really reliable, and totally agree. He's not going to be rounding guys up, but he'll catch it away from his frame, pluck it. Even sometimes I saw kind of late hands, which is kind of rare to see from a running back. So very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I'll agree with most everything you guys said. I will push back a little bit. Yes, he's not routing guys up, but like he can still run some routes. Like I saw a nice angle route. I've seen an in a route. I've seen a flat route. I saw a streak. Like he can run some routes, and I saw one specific streak that he ran that he kind of put his foot in the ground and exploded the other direction. Kind of like you would want to see a wide receiver do in deep route manipulation. So he's not routing guys up, but I think that area is at least still in his bag. I saw one of the same plays you did, Cooper, where again, quarterback, the trend or the trade I guess I saw was a quarterback kind of getting him the ball late, not really knowing where he was gonna throw the ball. He threw the ball late and it went down to the ground. It was about to hit the ground, and like Jonah Coleman kind of reaches down, plucks it for the catch. So he's got late hands. He's a very reliable pass catcher. And again, as I said all podcast, when he gets into the open space, man, that stiff arm is just absolutely deadly. You've always described it as like three levels, right? You can't catch, you can catch, but you're not a weapon, and you can catch and you're a weapon with the ball in your hands. I think he's somewhere between 2 and 3, right? He's more of a weapon than not, but he's not like your elite Christian McCaffrey weapon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, an 8, usually I reserve 8+ for guys that are that kind of weapon. So I gave him right at an 8. I almost went 7.5 just because I didn't see a ton of route running. But I just really, I think maybe even has the potential to improve in this area in the league, but just so reliable. To me, even when you look at guys like Kenneth Walker or Quinshon Judkins, like he's better than those guys. At least from what I saw on their college tape. And those guys have at least been used that way a little bit in the NFL and have stayed on the field and that type of thing. So, shout out Garrett for putting a lot of these advanced numbers on here. He had a 71.8 receiving grade per PFF, which is top 14% in the class in 2025. It's a pretty solid receiving grade for a running back. And he had a 53.9 pass block grade, which is not great, barely in the top 50% of running backs. I'm actually a little surprised by that because I really liked what I saw from him there. So most of the time, the numbers and what we see on film match up pretty good. In this case, not as much. And speaking of Garrett, he's in the comments asking, "Is my eye okay?" And yeah, I'll be all right. I think it's pretty good and bruised and cut on the eyelid. And if you're watching on video, I look kind of ridiculous, but we'll be all right. Thanks for your concern, Garrett. All right. So closing thoughts here. Jonah Coleman. I have a comp, and Rupert, it's funny because I told you we don't compare notes, and it's true. But Rupert and I are both Carolina Panthers fans. And so when I had this thought of this player, I was like, I got to ask Rupert who his comp is for Jonah Coleman. And he named the exact same player that I already had written down on my notes, and it's Jonathan Stewart. So, I mean, this is two guys that watched Jonathan Stewart play for the Panthers for years. Very similar body type. I think he was like 5'10", 230, something like that.
Yeah,
so
235. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see a lot of similarity in their games. Jonathan Stewart, I mean, he was never like a elite all pro, fantasy stud, but he had a really good career and had a lot of good fantasy seasons. I would be really happy with that outcome for Jonah Coleman. So I think that does speak to some of the upside that I think he can have. Just, I know that bell cows are not as common these days, but he really does have 3-down potential. With that combination, like he's not a perfect player. He's limited. He's not making guys miss. He's not taking a 90-yard house call, but you can not do those things and still be a really, really good NFL player and a really, really good fantasy player. So for me, my grade on him is a 73.2, which puts him in the range of a fantasy starter. Or no, excuse me, that puts him at a high end of a flex option. I think he has upside to be a fantasy starter. So it really puts him in a similar range of, where I had guys graded last year. Like Bashal Tutin was in that range. Quinshon Judkins was in that range. Woody Marks was in that range. Has had a pretty good season. RJ Harvey was in that range of like overall film score. If I went back to the year before, I think I had Bucky around a 73 or 74 in terms of overall grade. So, yeah, I think this is not like a lock. There's some misses in that range. I think I also had Devin Neal graded in that area. Dylan Sampson, who kind of got buried behind Judkins. I think a few years ago I had Trey Benson graded similarly. So there's some misses in that range. This is not like a bulletproof prospect, but there's some good upside. There's been some pretty good hits from guys who have been in this film grade range. And I really like Jonah Coleman. I think he's probably going to be a day 2 pick. I think he's going to get an opportunity, and if he does, I think he can be a productive dynasty asset for us.
I think this is a guy that I'm going to end up in my rankings having him higher than what his film grade is, because I do like the upside. I think he could develop more as a pro, and then he does have that bell cow kind of potential.
I just love the Jonathan Stewart comp. That's a phenomenal comp. So shout out to you guys on that. I'm in the same way. I've got him as a little higher, 74.25. So right there on the range. I think the upside is fantasy starter. So I'll probably have him right there, a little bit higher, kind of like you, Rupert, than probably my ranking might, or my film score might suggest.
Yeah, I mean, right now when I've done mock drafts, I've taken Jonah Coleman in the first round of some mock drafts. In fact, I did a guest spot with our guy Mags from Dynasty Hot Seat a week or two ago, and I think I took him at like 109 maybe in that mock draft. So it is a little bit of a weaker class. There might be guys that I end up liking more that drop him down, but I think if he gets the draft capital and he lands in a good spot, I could absolutely see him being a first round dynasty pick. I think he's a good enough player. So, yeah, Jonah Coleman, our composite score on him, 73.68. So we're all in a really similar, all within a point of each other on his overall grade. And we agree, we like him. So Jonah Coleman, that's everything you need to know about Jonah Coleman for your rookie drafts. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you haven't already, leave us a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Click the link in our description. Join our free community Discord. We've got over 250 Dynasty Fantasy Football junkies in there talking shop, giving each other advice. It's a great community, totally free. So join the Discord, hang out with us over there. We love answering questions in that space. And hope you guys have a blessed week. We'll see you next week.